Episode 6, South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
Super sweet. Thank God we live in the quiet little redneck podunk white trash. U.S.A. Can I have 5 tickets to Terrence and Phillip Asses of Fire, please?
No!
Welcome to the Blockbusters and Birdwalks podcast. I am the curator, Garrett Chaffin-Quiray. Today we have a conversation with a friend, Ed Rosa.
That's me. Hi. My filmmaking partner and I have a YouTube channel, Toothless Richard Productions, where you can see a number of our short films.
This movie makes me very happy, and that's partly because I was a little late to the South Park gang back in the summer of '99. I was aware of the tradition of dirty adult-oriented animated movies dating back to, let's say, the 70s with Fritz the Cat.
Yeah, Ralph Bakshi.
No matter what people can or will say about Trey and Matt, makers of South Park, this movie is a kind of bite of genius. I think it's just terrific.
It is. It really is. Rewatching this time, because South Park's still on. Mm-hmm. I don't follow it super religiously. I actually want to sue Trey Parker and Matt Stone because they stole a couple of my ideas that I had when somebody farts. Poop farticles.
Where do they come up with this stuff?
These two guys, and the hundreds of people around them now, have figured out ways to enunciate general feelings that many of us have in the privacy of our very intimate friendships, where we will lower the hesitation we have about saying certain things.
Right.
About our body functions, about our sexual desires, about our indifference to our family members, about the social pressures that we feel, about our politics, and just be funny, whether we're stoned, whether we're intoxicated, whether we're sweaty on a hot day. When those barriers drop and we're trying to be our smartest self with people who love us, we're often so very good at what we do.
Yeah.
They've been able to professionalize this into a magnificent edifice called South Park.
Totally. I would also go a step further. Visiting Europe, you watch TV in England or in Europe, it's like it's different over there because they're not as precious about profanity or sex as we are in America. In America, violence, fine. Sex, that's filthy. If you go watch, like primetime shows like in England, the characters swear. But here in America, some churchy in Nebraska is going to write you a letter.
Yeah.
But South Park was able to somehow package the most profane and offensive material into such a cute and humorous product that now I think South Park in a lot of ways is responsible for sort of the freedom you'll see in a lot of like TV shows that were in this, would be golden age of television. I don't think you can discount South Park's being on the vanguard by constantly pushing that envelope, by having like a strong contract and people that'll go to bat for them so that when the network is like, we don't know about this, they're like, yeah, we're doing it.
The gist of this movie is that our principal boys, these fourth graders in South Park, who are lorded over by overbearing and also absent-minded parents in this little mountain community, find themselves attracted to their favorite animated characters from the TV show they love made in Canada.
Phillip, yeah.
To go to the feature film of those Canadian performers. Terrence and Phillip literally just fart on each other. That's all of the humor. It creates an outrage within South Park, Colorado, inside of the film's story world, which eventually forces America to go to war with Canada. One of the characters, Kenny, who never speaks legible English, is killed in the middle of activities. He goes to hell, where he meets Satan, he's got a sexual relationship with Saddam Hussein. He wants to be the coming and come back to the service of the world and dominate everything, which hinges upon America going to war with Canada. The boys manage to foil this plot, put Satan back into hell, and solve the dilemmas of the day. The prescience of this movie is startling.
Things have changed. Our kids are getting worse. They won't obey their parents. They just want to fart and curse.
Should we blame the government or blame society?
Or should we blame the images on TV?
No, blame Canada. Blame Canada. With all their beady little eyes and flapping heads so full of lies. Blame Canada. Blame Canada. We need to form a full assault.
Watching it from 2026, you can't not notice how much it's just talking about geopolitics circa Donald Trump version 2.
Right.
You can't help but notice the way that it is about the hand-wringing of overbearing parents who also don't actually want to engage their children. You can also remember...
Or with the material.
Right,
The most vociferous opponents of something are typically the people who have the least experience with it.
And you just made the remark about how Europe's climate of permissiveness concerning profanity and sensuality is distinct from American permissiveness. All true. And they express that inside of this movie. But where this movie today hit me most strongly, aside from always being in the camp of these boys and enjoying their profanity, as a purposeful gag. I'll get to my point. The four-letter words they use in this thing, I think, was deliberately there to set a record for how many of them could be on a feature film that barely runs an hour and a half. So they really overstuff it to a point when your ears ring a little bit.
You can't say fucking school, you fucking fat ass.
Kyle!
Why the fuck not?
Eric!
Dude, you just said fuck again.
Stanley!
Who?
Kenny!
What's the big deal? It doesn't hurt anybody. Fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck.
How would you like to go see the school counselor?
How would you like to suck my balls?
What did you say?
I'm sorry. Actually, what I said was... How would you like to suck my balls, Mr. Garrett?
The point. We watch the boys, watch Terrence and Philip fart in each other. We watch people in the auditorium find offense with people farting on each other. We watch the boys acknowledge that it's just farting on each other, but love it anyway.
That part, that scene really hit home. I was dying. Everybody gets up and walks out of the theater except for the South Park lads who just like love it. That just sort of reminded me of like me and like my buddies.
Absolutely right. On top of that, this was something that dawned on me somewhere in the middle of childhood, where you realize your parents are reflexively trying to tell you things that you enjoy are ugly and gross and regrettable and obscene and vulgar. Other side of their mouth, they're laughing too. So you realize it's not true. That is also articulated inside of this movie. The silliness of the Canadian animation inside of this, the flopping heads that look distinct from the very primitive form of animation, which is these South Park kids, is never let up as a joke. The fact that we go to war with Canada, the music numbers written by Trey Parker and Mark Shaman are worthy of a Broadway stage.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think, I'm not sure, but I think Trey Parker has some kind of a background in musical theater.
Okay, it shows up here.
Part of why, South Park has been so endearing is I think that a lot of us that like it are like, we're similar like in age and background to Trey Parker, Matt Stone. It's not like we're friends, but it's like we would have been friends. Like
you would have seen like in the same auditorium of awkward kids who are not in the mix of whatever's happening in the center of the room.
Music has been like a part of South Park as well. I think because they did a Christmas episode. Well, they've done many Christmas episodes. One of the Christmas episodes they did spawned a Christmas record that's become a favorite in my home. So the songs in this are absolutely great, but they also totally fly in the convention of musical theater.
What would Brian Boitano do if he was here right now? He'd make a plan and he'd follow through. That's what Brian Boitano do.
When Brian Boitano was in the Olympics skating for the gold, he did 2 style cows and a triple, that's while wearing a blindfold.
When Brian Boitano was in the Alps fighting grizzly bears, he used his magical fire breath and saved the maidens there. So what would Brian Boitano do if he were here today? I'm sure he'd kick an ass or two. That's what Brian Boitano do.
The summer that this came out, the comparable things that I know I was also going to go see include the original Austin Powers and American Pie. Put that up for a contrast.
Yeah.
American Pie making light of the sort of teen sex comedy, and it's Stifler's mom. We can still make that joke because Jennifer Coolidge is still very much
MILF is absolutely permanently a part of the American lexicon now.
And we weren't supposed to acknowledge that for some reason, but it seems perfectly correct that when you're a developing young sexed up boy who's heterosexual and noticing women, the women that are most available to you, at least visually and for emotional care, are the mothers of your friends. This is jumping ship and going far afield from South Park, but it is to say it's a moment this summer of '99 when different forms of entertainment were offering metatextual reflections on what entertainment actually is, playing at those conventions and pushing them to well past their logical, whatever that means, their logical limitations, and exploring things which flattered some of my inner thoughts.
Yeah.
And it made me so happy then.
Yeah.
And still makes me happy today. I will confess, I watched this again by myself, and I was glad to not have one of my children with me because They're of an age with a different era where they might not like the humorous references that I like. And maybe the best and clearest joke, Chef Isaac Hayes, the school lunch officer. One of the boys loves this girl, and he asks, what's the secret to winning a girl's heart? And Chef blurts, find the clitoris. So that becomes this recurrent motif until finally the boys find the clitoris in the forest of the real to sort of deal with the circumstances of it. So there's the clitoris talking to them, giving them advice. The clitoris. It's a great, great joke. And when you see it, it just lands so forcefully because those same idiot questions that I had as a boy are the same idiot questions that these men remember when they were boys. And it's those idiot questions that I think young people today feel less comfortable asking or admitting they're concerned with.
Yeah.
Because they've been told to cancel it and shut it down.
Like, I don't know if it's just because, like, I'm old and this is just what happens, but, like, I sort of fear that, on one hand, pornography is just a component of their everyday lives. You can't avoid it. But at the same time, sort of the mentality of a lot of people coming up, I feel like they're getting way more puritanical.
Conventions do change, and we can judge the past conventions in lots of ways, and we do all the time. We're all aware of this.
Constantly relitigating the past, honestly.
And this movie is doing that too. The best example of this that I can think of, when America's revving for war, we're going to invade Canada. It all hinges on...
Which might actually come true now.
It feels more on the nose than ever. But there's this big music rally where the presiding general explains what's about to happen. Battalion 1, and it's all of the black troops, are the tip of the spear. You're going to experience heavy casualties. And because you're there to do that, all of these other groups behind you, all white, get to march more successfully and actually conquer or do whatever it is we want them to go do. Chef is one of those enlistees, and you hear his voice.
Have you ever heard of the Emancipation Proclamation?
I don't listen to hip-hop.
Over my time as an educator, I have programmed Team America World Police into a class.
Another great one.
And it is. And I had 2 women students come to me just before I hit play and say, we object to this movie. And I said, that's a fair thing, but why? They didn't have a great way to articulate that because I feel as if they were learning the vocabulary to mount their objection, and I'm the authority. So, I mean, they're like, how do we talk to this guy? So
did they know the film already? They had seen it?
They acted as if they had, and I'm not sure they sat through it. They did listen to the conversation I led afterwards. It was me trying to say, these are knowing dudes who are purposefully putting their fingers in your eyes.
Right.
And they're saying dreadful things. It's not because they think these things are true.
Right, or they're not endorsing them.
And the fact that they will put forward characters who are disabled in some way, or I guess the term of art these days is alternatively abled, which we're in a moment of feeling like a lot of that's got to shift. Being blunt with language is not always intended to be mean. The result of how you use language can cause damage. I get that. I have been damaged by remarks thrown my direction. But people don't always want to harm you. And there has to be a certain regard for intention, not just outcomes. How to balance that? I can't tell you absolutely. But probably the best way is to begin to have the flexibility to explain why something makes you uncomfortable and then listen to a response about why maybe you shouldn't be uncomfortable. Example, throughout this movie, there are several queer characters. Whether you want to call them gay, you want to call them trans.
Big Gay Al is literally gay in his name.
And the fact that these characters exist, this is 1999, when we were still, in much of America, not really acknowledging different sexual expressions than straight-up straights. It was something to have these characters exist, albeit in animated form, albeit making obscene jokes, albeit almost being, well, pedophilia is one of the constant strains and jokes of this entire series.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they do it hilariously, too.
And should we be making fun of that?
Right, because
well, absolutely we should.
Right. It's not funny in real life. How do you reduce something's power? It's like what Mel Brooks always used to say, because people get on his case about, like, you know, like having Hitler and stuff.
Yeah.
And springtime for Hitler and all this kind of stuff. He's like, dude, the best thing we can do to Hitler is to make him a joke.
Minimize all of the authority that he's accrued across the years of his life and now posthumously. Defang it with making it into a joke. these guys don't just fall down on an obvious mantle to tell you this is good and this is bad, which makes it a little queasy and ambiguous. I think that I've listened to interviews with both Matt Stone and Trey Parker, more so Matt Stone in my limited experience, who's been very good about saying, mostly I'm concerned about kids who feel that they're on the outs with the tribe of other kids around them and wanting to find friends. And one of the ways I learned to do it was making fun of everything around me which seemed foolish and simple-minded and dumb. And I can't forgive simple-mindedness. You might not like this is me paraphrasing somebody I've never met, but you may not like where I end up in my judgments of the society around us. But I'm doing this, making this judgment, because the society around us seems often simplistic and dumb.
Yeah.
And not enough people question things.
Completely. Well, that's, sort of the American thing seems the rejection of education and like the sort of the prizing of ignorance. Stupidity is like a brick wall.
Yeah, you can't. All you can do is drive through it,
right?
Or it's more strong than you, and it backs you
right,
up.
right. Like there's no amount of arguing with it or trying to convince it that to change its mind.
And this is dropped right in the middle of the movie. One of the central boys, Kyle, who's voiced by Matt Stone. His mother Sheila is this just archetypally Jewish mom.
She's Tipper Gore. I mean, right? She's that orange juice lady that hated gay people back from the 70s.
Right. Ultimately, Sheila Broflovsky becomes the national power source that moves the entire American government to want to invade Canada. The thing is, Sheila Broflovsky has adopted a Canadian baby, Ike, who's Kyle's stepbrother. The point is, Kyle, at a late point in the movie, is forced to point out, Mom, you've overwhelmed the government. You've literally made it do what you want. You are a tyrant. You were never elected. You shouldn't have this power. What you're doing is extra legal. In fact, it is illegal. And you're hurting yourself. You're actually targeting your own child. Not the child that you made, me, the child you chose.
Right.
Because you wanted this.
Right. Arguably the one you would like better. Because you selected that one.
You can mold this one in the way, and what you're creating is a national climate where other Canadian people in America are being put in kill camps. That's not a joke. They're put in kill camps inside of South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. And the stupidity of that circle. Sheila is offended by Terrence and Philip farting each other in a feature film, and her boys sneak off to go see, inciting all of the other kids around them to go see, which becomes an international phenomenon. So she decides to create a parent group that becomes a takeover group that takes over the government that wants to launch complete war.
As adults, we see pain in the world, and it sometimes don't seem right. But through the eyes of a child, the world seems magical.
This is a strange movie, filled with eccentricity, and it's incredibly vulgar and profane. There's a phrase associated with the streaming age, and it's content.
Right, yeah, right.
Content.
It's content. It's all content now.
Content is none of the things I just said.
Right.
Content simply falls upon you as something that's digestible and understandable. Advertisement content. Romance content. Not thorny and weird and upsetting and vulgar and profane. It's content. It's meant to flow. Now, admittedly, content has genres. I say this because I was listening to an interview with the new porn star, Lucy Mochi. She's like 25 or 26. And when COVID broke 6 years ago, she lost all of her jobs and she needed to make money to stay in school. And she realized, I can cam. And there's a market for that. And 6 years on, she's become a big deal. But she made a point of saying, I am a brand who can sell content. And the content happens to be the way I display and use my body. Because this is a disposable thing. I will become a 60-year-old woman, and nobody's going to want me the way that I am wanted right now.
That's true. She will still be, but a smaller number.
Correct. The reason why this movie is so very good is it's not reducible. It can't be copied. It's too infuriating. If you use that as a template, and people have, you're going to get content. Originality is distinct. And it's what Paramount is setting in motion to ruin in all of audiovisual culture.
Right.
So I got to credit Lucy Mochi for really establishing this connection in my weird mind this week, that when you're really pushing content, you're not pushing something that's meant to be singular and stick out forever. You're meant to push more of same.
Right.
But for her, it's like
Keep
tomorrow I'll
consuming.
be wearing a different costume.
Right.
Tomorrow I'll put some highlights on my hair. Tomorrow I might do this outside.
Right.
But it's going to be the same thing that you saw me do yesterday. It's the same, but just minute bits of difference.
Right. Right.
You can't redo South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. It's too strange an animal.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I've realized that there are contents that I throw in for. My wife will catch me watching whatever's on TLC related to some kind of terrible skin disorder. I'm a super fan of Dr. Pimple Popper.
Oh, yeah, Sandra Leigh.
She just can't even believe I'm so sucked into those things, but that's the content that I like. Every episode is kind of the same, but little jots of difference. But it's not meant to stick out as being unusual or weird across your lifetime.
Right.
But we start talking Children of Men. We start talking the devils. Man, I got things to say.
Oh, yeah.
Because those are distinct. And that's most of what I want to celebrate. In the end, these boys love each other. There's something about that is also, I think, a real affirmation. Remembering the oddball crew of little misfit children who I was associated with before we gave up the idea that we were odd and said, these are just my buddies. Friendship really, really matters and holds everything together.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly how a lot of the South Park adventures, they spin out of control all the time. But they're often solved because these boys, it's never the adults, because the adults can't be trusted. That's
Right.
an old idea. The boys figure out some solution because they're willing to help each other and try something others aren't expecting. That's a pretty good, positive message.
Yeah.
That's a progressive message right in the heart of something that's deeply insulting. Again, weird. It's not content.
There are times when you get suckered in by drugs and alcohol and sex with women, okay? But it's when you do these things too much that you've become an addict and must get back in touch. You can do it, it's all up to you, okay? With a little plan, you can change your life today. You don't have to spend your life addicted to smack, homeless on the streets giving handjobs for crack. Follow my plan and very soon you will say, it's easy, okay?
I'm gonna party like it's
1999, best movie year ever?
I guess the jury's still out.
Boop boopity doo.